everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show David Crowther, and he's a dating consultant for men, and I'm so excited to have him here today because we're talking about, I think I get this question all the time, is why didn't he call when he said he would call? So before we jump into this topic, though, David, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you and how you became a dating consultant.
Yeah, absolutely. So the answer would be out of desperation, because I had no idea what I was doing with women. I was in a relationship, but I don't think I was very happy, and I was just trying to make myself happy. And then I discovered this whole world of self-improvement and how you can really make these amazing connections with people, but it required a little bit of coaching and then a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they say. But I overshot my goal, and I went from taking as much advice as I could get, and I started giving it, and a career change happened. So,
and a life change happened too, because you got married, right?
I did. I am happily married.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, let's jump into this topic of why didn't he call? Because women ask this question all the time. So, David, why didn't he call when he said he would?
It's a great question. I'm going to give you a few answers. One is because he's an axe murderer, so it doesn't matter. But if that
we don't want the axe murderer to call us back anyways.
Very easy solution. Oh, he's an axe murderer. On a more serious note, I would say there's a couple of things. One is, it doesn't matter what age the guy is. There are always things going on internally and in their life that you just don't know about. And you could have been the most charming, amazing person in person. But you...
We know what you meant. Don't worry.
Yes. Excellent. But if life happens, if someone close to him dies, heaven forbid, or he gets in a car accident, there's no way you can control any of that. And then someone he met and had a good connection with is always going to be secondary. Or, on the bad side of that in human nature, because humans are complicated, that's why we have jobs.
Right.
Maybe he has a girlfriend or a wife or something, and he just wasn't going to tell you at that moment. And now he's not going to follow up because he is in an actual relationship. The other thing is, and this is something I coach guys with all the time, men are very bad with their integrity. We're really good at, we'll get to that thing later, and then we never do. And there's a million reasons you can look into that, whether it's just because he doesn't have, no rite of passage, no reason to have integrity, and, that's continued all the way up to, you've seen people with 80 who just can't be anywhere on time, can't do what they say they're going to do. And if it's that last one, if it's the lack of integrity, he's never going to do what he said he would, then you're probably better off as well.
Exactly. Like, if the guy always says he's going to call and he just doesn't, that's not the man that you really want to be with. But I want to backstep and go to one of your earlier points, because I think you make a really, really great point, is you don't know what's going on in his life. No. And I always find from the other side, because I coach a lot of women, is they always look internally to themselves of, what did I do wrong? Was he not attracted to something? Was it something I said? Or whatever it is, instead of thinking that maybe, like you said, there's something going on in his life too. I mean, of course, there's always... he may not have called because he maybe wasn't attracted, or maybe it was because of something you said. I'm not going to lie, because I don't want you to think that then it's never that, because of course it can be that. But I also want women to also realize that you're only 50% of the equation, that you have to realize it's not just about you, it's about him. And like David said, what's going on in his life, you never know.
It's true. You can give 100% on your end, but if you get 0% on the other end, then that's not a relationship. That's painful.
Right. So. Well, let me ask you a question, because this is the second question I always get after this question.
Oh, excellent.
So whether it's after a first date, or say if it's after several dates, and he said he called but he didn't call, should a woman reach out and call him?
I think these days that's fine. I think it comes down to, again, it sort of comes down to timing, because I know a common fear that women have is seeming too easy, on the opposite spectrum, men are very afraid of seeming like they're needy. So you've got these two people kind of dancing around like, oh, I shouldn't I? And it gets very complicated. But if you've been on several dates, yes, absolutely, I would just reach out, because you never know. And if it isn't meant to be a bit cliche, it isn't meant to be. If it's not your guy, he's not your guy. On the other hand, if it's been just one day, but you gotta, it's almost like you have to pre-plan for these little games people are playing. You have to be, it's very complicated in the sense of, if you want to get rid of all that, that's great, but you don't really know what's going on in that person's head.
Right. And and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've had other male dating experts say this, is that if a man really wants to go out with you or see you, he's going to call you. And he's going to get in touch with you, whether it's texting or calling or whatever it is, but he's just not going to sit there and wait for it to happen if he's really, really interested. Is that true?
He's not going to wait for it to... So here's the interesting thing. If you have a guy who's got, if he really likes you, you have this situation that occurs where some guys overthink it. And they massively, massively overthink it. So I would agree with most of that, but if they're really, really overthinking it, then they start to get worried about making mistakes, or they start to get a little bit nervous or insecure, like, oh, did I do something wrong last night? And they re-question everything that's going on. And
so wait, I have to ask you a question, because this is really interesting, because you coach a lot of men. So men really go through this thought process, because women always feel like it's always us that goes through that thought process, but you coach a lot of men, so they go through this thought process of second guessing themselves?
Oh yeah, you see guys agonize over what might be the best text possible to send, and then they'll send it, and then they won't get a response for an hour. They'll be like, oh man, I should have thought about it for another 5 hours. I really should have.
Another 5 hours for one text.
And you're like, no. I mean, the biggest problem we have with men is, it's like, look, you had a good connection, there was something there. Don't play the game. Text the very next day at the latest, because if she feels the same way, you want to build on that connection. And the problem is, when a guy starts to play those games, I'm sure your women and yourself notice this. You start to lose a lot of interest in them, because you don't want to be the one who's having to chase him and lead him. You want someone who's going to go ahead and take some action.
Right.
And that's the real, for me, probably the crux of the question is, if you feel okay, if you don't feel like it's going to be a bad thing for you to go ahead and just send them a message, do it. But if you think, I don't really, if you're more traditional, and I've seen this with a lot of guys, some guys don't like a woman following, and some women don't like to follow up. They want the guy to go ahead, step up, and do, in the traditional gender role, the courting.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, what I always tell my clients, male or female, because I coach both men and women, is that it's a push-pull dynamic. So it should never be one-sided, where you're always texting him or he's always texting you, because like you said, if a man is always the one that's initiating a call or a text or whatever it is, then he's going to feel like, is she really interested in me?
Yeah. Well, it's a tough one, because we're guys. You just have to put a tiniest bit of sex appeal in your text, or the teeniest bit of, I'm going to use the word girlish glee, for lack of a better expression. When that kind of, we're guys, we like it when a girl laughs at a joke or touches us or shows some kind of feminine appreciation for what we're saying or sending out there.
So when we flirt with you, basically.
Basically, but the most specific things we really like is a sign that we've changed your emotional state. So, haha, that's really funny, enjoying what we've brought. Or the other thing would be just a tiny, and this is so funny because guys really don't need much to run off with this thought on their own. Just a tiny bit of sexual anything, like just a hint of I know a woman that used to just text guys like, oh, I just got out of the shower. And that was enough. There's a whole world of thought going on there that she didn't need to even think about, but it was enough just to hint at that sexual connection.
Right. So, but I will preface that with, don't sext a guy after a first date, because then you're sending the complete wrong message. Right, David?
I always say, I wouldn't even do the picture trading thing. It just seems like it's going to go wrong very quickly, even with Snapchat. I always think of it verbally, because there's that book, Nancy Frieday's My Secret Garden, and it's just incredible how just some of the words and the descriptions impact. I know they're imagining this thing, but your imagination is so much more powerful, and so is the guy's. There's a lot you can do. Like the direct stuff, like "Hey, let's have sex," is just a turn off, right? Well, maybe not for the guy, but but the thought of a new encounter, like the imagination, is always so enticing.
Right. So you're saying to be subtle.
Yes. I'm way too verbose today, but yes, I am.
Okay. Well, these have been some great tips. So, David, tell our audience how they can find you.
The best way is to check out my podcast. It's for men, but we have women dating coaches on there, and they give advice that's applicable both to men and women. And it's, been really insightful. It's Men's Survival Guide to Women. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, or you can go to the website, which is survivewomen.com, because yes, girls, guys feel like they need to survive relationships. So cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, David, for being on the show. And thanks, everybody, for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you like the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. And if you would like to get our free report on the top 3 secrets that are guaranteed to attract any man, I said guaranteed. It's actually scientifically proven. You can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.